I thought
Okay,
maybe
you're live
it
now.
would cause a crack in the earth.
You're live.
Is Mike do that too? I don't know.
Yeah, just now. Is it okay a couple minutes early, or do you want me to do it over?
We just,
Yeah.
no, don't do it over now
Okay.
because
Yeah.
it's a
Okay.
thing to get it going. So
Okay.
we're live right now.
You might be the only one, Greggy.
Your brother, Greg.
Just think of,
Great.
oh my gosh, this is perfect for you. You can have all of the public discussion time.
Wow. I read the agenda.
You want a notebook so you can start writing questions down?
You guys.
He'd be like in heaven with all the
He's in
agenda,
heaven.
public discussion
It
time.
says it's got a lot of batteries.
We'd probably get out of here late.
But I think there's like a 2-question limit for every resident, I believe. I think that's in the statutes.
Yeah, but my street has a bunch of residences.
Yeah. He's an advocate.
I'm going to start this. Okay. The audio. Audio is rolling.
You have 1 minute, Mr. Timekeeper.
Greg started rolling.
Yeah.
Greggy.
Yeah.
You have
I'm
gotten
the one
on
that-
me about starting
Yeah,
the
right.
meeting a minute early, so
15
Right.
seconds and
that
counting.
was
Oh,
so now it's coming back to bite you there,
Right.
buddy.
yeah, sorry. No.
Now you're sorry.
Now we get it. Is there one somewhere else?
Yeah, if I run out of battery,
Oh,
I won't finish my report. No.
I won't finish. So you weren't able to download the enhance?
So, no, because we're on a server, we don't need to download it. Server.
And so would that be an NEIT thing?
Is that the server people?
He
Should be
is
mine.
our,
Can you see like it
I
might
see everybody.
show a time on there or something? Like
That's him.
it's going to be really small.
Well, it says live,
It might
public.
show. Yeah, if it's got a little live and it's
Yeah, I don't see a time, but I see public
Sorry,
live.
It's just like in a little box that
couple
says live.
Some, time on Friday,
Okay.
time on Monday with Enhance, and then after troubleshooting for a while.
But yeah, we typically we start
Okay, so
rolling on the hour.
I don't want to start the meeting right now. Lisa, could you tell us about the 2 residents, or the 1 resident and the 1 18-year-old working here, and what happened, so we can have a
resident.
moment of silence for them with Josh.
Josh Phillips, who is a water user here in Black Canyon City, did lose his life this weekend on a rollover accident, and we're just really asking for just prayers and consideration for the family, and just a moment of silence. He was a very nice guy. He was an avid angel donator, and he was a good guy.
And then there's Josh Meyer, who does he work for the other water company?
Oh, Seth Meyer.
Seth Meyer. Sorry, why did I say Josh?
Seth did, yeah. He does work for the other water company. He's a younger guy. He's a water reader.
18.
18 years old, and he got into an accident. T-boned. He is still with us, but he is
In a
progressing
coma.
in a coma and progressing well.
Wow.
Yeah. If you go to prayersforstuff.com, the family puts an update every day on how he's doing and his condition and what his test results are. If you are ever having a bad day, you need to go and read that, because then you'll say, holy crap,
Thanks for my life. I'm doing good.
and they are amazing. It's an amazing family that is just demonstrating so much faith and courage in a really difficult situation. So
Yes, both of the families are going through a difficult time right now, and just our heart goes out to them.
So a moment of silence for them. Okay, this is April 22nd, 2025. It is 17:02, and we are at the Black Canyon City Community Library for the Black Canyon City Water Improvement District regular board meeting. It was posted, notice was posted at the post office, at the water office, on the website, and on some Facebook pages. So the first order is call to order. Well, this is going to be a long. We'll start down with Miss M.
Melina Relic, treasurer.
Tom Strezak, board chair.
You promoted
Really?
yourself.
You said board.
Board secretary.
Was that a Freudian
I don't know.
I don't want to be the
We got
chair.
a mutiny going here.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Elaine Clayton, board chair.
Bob Hannes,
Sorry, Bob.
operations manager.
Lisa Chandler, office manager.
And
Wow.
would you please state the city that you live in? That was a requirement. I want to try to make sure. Just your name and city you live in.
Greg Watts, and we are an unincorporated town, Black Canyon City.
You always have to add something to it.
Yeah, we're not really a city.
The unincorporated
Town of Black Canyon City. That's what we are.
Okay, so next is consent agenda, approval of minutes. And so we're going to have a list here. January, March, and April. And we're not going to discuss this right now, but we are going to give consideration to hiring somebody to do this transcription so we can catch up on the meeting minutes, get everything approved and posted. We've been at this since January. This is our fourth meeting, so I think we need to address this at the appropriate time. Now we can get to Chair's report, activities for last month. So we can do the first three all at one time. Report on board vacancy mailer, the website mailer, and customer information update. So the board vacancy, all of those, I hope to have them ready to go out in one mailer. I'm going to forward PostNet an the Excel copy of information of customer names and addresses, and I want to make sure that everything is on there, and then we can just put these notices out all at once. The vacancy mailer, that's important for the obvious reasons. The website mailer, I think, and this is commenting, not for discussion at this meeting, but when I look at the options that we have provided people for payments, I think it is a waste of money to pay somebody 3 hours a day, 15 hours a week to just sit so people can walk in the office and make a payment. They could make a payment online, they can mail it, they can leave it in the drop thing. There are a number of ways to do that, and we need to make better use of that office time because we have files that need to be attended to. We have customer update information that needs to be attended to. We need to make better use of those hours. So I really want to encourage people to take advantage of our other payment options. Report on the status of the backflow prevention program. 6 letters were sent out prematurely. Somebody was just trying to stay on top of it and got ahead of themselves, and only 2 people picked them up, right, Lisa?
Out of the 6 that Joe gave me, yes.
So, I think one of the things I've noticed with customers, and I'm not saying it's good or bad, it's just an observation. People can get 0 usage bills month after month after month, and they never pick up the phone. But they get a mailer that is saying, we have this upcoming program that's going to be implemented, and it is going to be, we're going to make sure that we adhere to it, and all of a sudden, people come out of nowhere. I'm going to call an attorney and see what my rights are, but they don't call unless it has a negative effect on them. And people, we want to encourage customers to kind of reciprocate this consideration that if you get a zero usage bill, let us know. If you have trouble making a payment, then we'll try and work with you. This is sort of a give and take thing, and the more people who don't let us know they have zero use or they're not doing the backflow prevention, the harder it's going to be for the district, and of course that will cause a rate increase. So the other thing that we have to decide is if we want to do that program in-house or if we want to pay a nominal amount of money every year to have someone else do it. And we'll have to talk more about that. I don't know that the district should have to take on one more compliance thing. We have enough. And if we have a better option, I think we need to consider other options. Report on contracted contracts. So one of the things we've known is that having one contractor to do our emergency work and the majority of our projects is just not going to cut it. It was just like, and Lisa knows, if Tony, he was injured and he was in the hospital, and you can't help but think, well, holy cow, if something happens to Tony and we have an emergency, what are we going to do? That's not a position the district should be in. I did meet with a contractor and was impressed with what they had to offer. I didn't realize that you don't need a backhoe and shovels and all of that to repair leaks. They have a truck where you can pull up and it lowers a saw, cuts through the concrete or the pavement and sucks out the water. It was almost like a sci-fi thing, but it sounded really interesting. And to locate lines, they can water witch. I can't ask questions because this isn't on the agenda, but
It's the same thing as the
Well,
copper.
That's what we've been doing, but yeah.
yeah, it was another method. I'll have to look it up. But we need to continue looking for contractors and vet them and see what their prices are. I did reach out to Josh, but I don't expect a response from him because he also uses Tony, and perhaps, we're not really competing for each other's business. It would just make sense if we could work together and perhaps consider using some of the same contractors. Maybe it would help reduce some of the costs. And I also asked the contractor I met with if we kept certain things available, would that help decrease the cost? And they said yes. So we probably need to think about, for a future meeting, to talk about getting a larger storage unit or something where we can keep meters and pipes and such. And then if there's an emergency, they just go sign out the equipment off an inventory list. And if we had some gravel and other materials, that would also help decrease the cost. So these are just things to think about for the next one. In the water conservation grant, we did not get that, but it was an incredibly valuable learning experience. I listened to hours of WIFA going over loans and reading them, and I knew the minute I saw ours, we were dead in the water. And then when it made it to the second round, that's when we were eliminated. But really valuable information, and some of that we'll discuss in the new business. So we'll discuss some of it in the new business. So, Bob, you guys have anything to add to the? Any
You can't discuss?
Oh, we'll get to the next part, then we can discuss. And if there's something you want to discuss, make sure we put it on the next agenda.
Right.
So, Mr. Bob, report on well depths?
Yep. Okay, so our current well depths, we continue to drop. Big John is currently sitting at a static level of 30 feet 2 inches with a drawdown of 35.
What was it before?
And just to give you a reference.
We can't discuss it, sorry.
Yep, just to give you a reference, so December of this year, it was 25 feet. So we've dropped roughly 5 feet since December as we go into the warm season and the high use season. So Oasis, we're at 35 feet is a static. December was 30 feet, so we've dropped again 5 feet. GOA, we're sitting at 29.9, so roughly 30 feet. And in December, we were at 26.6.
Wow.
And so over the course of the last 4 months, 5 months, call it, we've dropped 4 to 5 feet in the aquifer. As we go into the warm, hot season where water demand is up. So I just put that out there and we can discuss that later. I don't have a usage summary. That usually comes from, Lisa puts that together based on the water meters.
What's that?
The usage summary.
We won't just,
I've never done one.
we won't discuss it now
Okay,
because
okay.
it's just
Yep,
a
yep.
comment.
That's okay. Just
Yep.
let me know.
Yep. So
I
anyways,
sent you all the operations
No, I sent you an
reports.
email on it today. I was coming in the office to learn how to do it myself on
Oh,
Thursday
I
or
was-
Friday.
That was after 12. I was already
Oh,
gone.
okay.
Yeah.
so we'll get it. Yeah.
Usually a 24
it's
hour
the-
turnaround.
So-
would be good.
Anyways, sorry. Big John 3, they, as we were talking earlier, they have started. They're probably down, 20 feet in the hole already. They anticipate a couple of weeks of drilling and then drilling and development of the well, and then a couple of weeks after that, they will be setting the well pump and the electrical with the new freak drive, control panel, and meter. So we will have one well, actually 2, because Oasis now has a meter. But we're slowly getting them to current specs. Okay, so that will be good. Had a meeting with NACOG this morning, and that was just to go over Big John and just what we need to do as a district to make sure that we comply with all the WIFA requirements. They're going to come down and have an interview with the 2 sets of employees with KP Ventures. KP Ventures is going to have it's 2 sets of employees. The one that runs the drill rig, and then once they're done with drilling and getting the pump going, developing the well and all that, then they bring in their above ground crew to put in the electrical and all that. So that will require 2 interviews because they need to interview every person that's working on the site that's paid, getting paid by WIFA. So they'll come down and conduct interviews twice. And then they had stated that, Morgan's, or maybe Elaine stated that Morgan's going to come out and visit the site once just to make sure we got our sign up and everything's good, which you guys have seen the sign, so we are good
Who's
there.
Morgan with?
Morgan's with WIFA. So it sounds like everything is above board. Tyler with KP Ventures they've done a lot of WIFA work, and so they were familiar with all of the requirements that WIFA has, so it should go fairly smooth. And that's kind of that. Schoolhouse Road electrical panel, we have a quote. I was trying to get some more detail. It looks like I've been pulling teeth to try to get more detail on the control panel and get it split out. And he sent me schematics on what the panel's going to look like, but he still has not split out. This is the cost of the control panel. So,
Versus the labor.
yeah, versus all the labor. And then, so there's 2 different things that they're doing there. So, again, we have an aging APS meter box that was arcing on us. And so they're going to replace that. And then they're also going to replace the control panel. So I wanted them to split out what the cost of the APS panel is and breaker box, versus the control panel. And I've talked to him probably 5 or 6 times, and I can't get him to split it out.
One, can't have a conversation.
I he's like, okay, I got it, but then I still never receive it.
I did get one in the office. I'll forward it to you. For Foster Electric, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Okay. And then meter reads. So Joe has been working on some of the zero meter reads, and so we read in thousands of gallons. And one of the things that we want to do going forward is every month go into Enhance. Enhance is our billing program that Lisa punches in the computer read or the meter reads to, and we want to start running a zero usage for 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days, and then start tackling we can discuss this, how exactly we want to do this, but I would say we start tackling the ones that are 90 days, and then we work our way back, depending on how that all lays out and how many there are to tackle. One of the issues we run into is we have vacant properties, we have snowbirds, we have, again, we as where we started, we read in thousands of gallons. There are people out there that use less than 1,000 gallons a month. And so their meter's not going to record every month. It might skip a month, or it might skip 2 months. If you use 300 gallons for 2 months, it's not going to read until that third month, because it's going to be, actually 300 to be the fourth month, so 300, 6, 9, and it's not going to roll over until, and the meter's still counting, but we round up to the nearest 1,000. So we're always reading the meter up. And so, therefore, it can take a couple of months for that meter to actually register. So, we know it's an issue, and we just need to try to figure out some good policy in trying to tackle it, and how we go forward. So that's there for some discussion. But Joe is working on that.
We can, there's discussion allowed in the new business part of the meters.
So, okay, and I'll just stop at that.
Okay, so report on bank balances. Lena.
Well, Natalie, the
The CPA.
has been away, and she's just recently come back.
Monday.
And she's going to get busy on the rest of our reports that we've been dragging for so long.
Yeah, too long.
We do have available the report for March. Should I go through this and just say we have the one for March and we have one for February. So when we get them all,
I did put a copy up there if someone wants it, and if you want, Greg, I can give you mine.
but I can tell you, to my great relief, that there is money there. So.
But I think it's important to keep in mind, as it says on the agenda, that there are 2 capital improvement projects, 2 repairs, and we have not seen the bill for those yet. So this is when we have to exercise great prudence in how we spend money, because we're going to have some outstanding debt that will probably make us go, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
That's true. I agree with what you said.
Okay.
Still?
I did the report on water conservation grant.
Oh, you just mentioned that. Yeah,
We didn't get
Yeah,
it.
we didn't
That's the
get it
report.
Right.
Okay, so new business, and A through D was on the March agenda.
Thanks.
So discussion and possible action regarding the ratification of $3,000 expenditure for installation of a meter on Oasis Well 2. I think one of the things that I need to see moving forward is how much money we're spending on the individual wells, and not just invoices going into a file by vendor. But This was for the old ASUS well because they had all of that work that needed to be done on it. Is it, and you said it's running
Yep,
again?
it's up and going.
And how's it functioning?
We do have some issues with it. It produces more water than can be recharged from the well, so we actually have to slow the well down.
So it has a time to recharge?
Yep.
And that's the water gathering at,
Coming back in. Yep. And so right now we turn it on, and in about 10 minutes, it sucks all the water out. It's not coming back. So the new pump that they put in is stronger than the old one. And so we need to slow it down.
Is that what's done with the frequency drive?
Yep.
And because I spoke with Joe today,
That's what he said, yeah.
and he let me know, and the frequency drive control panel needs to be replaced. They put one in, and with the new, that was a new one that they put in. They need to replace it. It just was defective or something.
Yeah, well, no, so that frequency drive's been there for at least a year. And so it probably took electrical hit or something caused it to fail.
Oh, I see. It wasn't
Yeah.
something that was with the new install. It was existing.
It was existing, yeah.
right
yeah.
for the old pump.
So we have a new one coming. It'll be here at the end of the week. It was
how much is that?
$59.
Okay.
So with that being stated, we need to figure out where we get to mail parts. Where are we shipping things?
And that will be discussed at the next meeting.
Okay, I'm just, because again, I just, unfortunately, I shipped it to my house because I don't have any other
Yeah,
place
no,
to ship stuff.
we
We
need
never
to,
addressed it, right? Or
So-
it's never been.
we will, that will be changing.
Okay.
But,
Yep, I'm just letting you know.
trying to do everything in one meeting, I was just, after the
It's-
whole bee fiasco and
yeah.
different things, I just,
I know, I just bring it up again because I know that that's a bone of contention and I just want to try to resolve it at some point.
oh, plans are in process.
Thank you.
Um,
So, anyways,
So, I would like to entertain a motion on approving the $3,000. Have you received the invoice on that yet?
And what is the name of the vendor that you're asking about?
so that would
Metron.
be Metron.
Metron, no, I have not.
Okay.
Okay. I didn't,
That come from Alex, or Alex's group.
I will check first thing in the morning and then I'll let you know in an email.
Okay.
okay, so I'd like to entertain a motion to pay,
Well,
not to,
do I understand that this was?
this is something different. This is
This
not
3,000.
relative to the 3,000.
Okay.
But the part was purchased, it's been received, and it's been installed. So now we just need to approve payment, and I can address it where I would consider a vote to approve not to exceed $3,000 for the Oasis well meter. And that would be within the confines of what's noted in agenda item A.
Right.
Anyone like to second?
So I motion.
I already
or
made the motion.
I second the motion for ratification of $3,000 expenditure for installation of a meter on Oasis Well 2. That
It's
was
the
just
purchase
repaired.
of, the installation was free, so that was just the purchase price. They didn't
Oh.
charge us labor.
Uh-huh.
So just for the purchase of the meter.
And this is so that we know how much it's producing. This
Correct.
is- Which we want to try to get this on all of our wells eventually.
So now we just need to go
Okay.
back. I'm going to make a motion that we approve the $3,000, not to exceed $3,000 expenditure from Metron for the meter only at the Oasis well, no labor. Could I get a second?
I second the motion.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? None. A motion carries unanimously. Okay, now then, I think that's the one you want to see, the $12,000 one? Oh, no, it's $13,000.
No, that one's not in here. The schoolhouse quote's not in here.
Well, holy kashmoli. but they haven't done anything, and you can't even get a breakdown on the invoices. So, we are going to wait and discuss this at the next meeting. That would be agenda item D, the possible ratification of the $12,833 expenditure to replace the electrical panel on Schoolhouse. They've not done any work.
No, the only work that they've done is that emergency work that was approved several months
Right.
ago just to help us get it back up and going.
Okay, so we will put this on the agenda for the next meeting. And then agenda item C, discussion regarding the responsibilities and accountability of special district. That too will go on the agenda when Bill can be present to explain that. I want to put a brief summary of what a special district is on all of the applications for new customers so people know. I don't like going around talking to people and telling them this is a special district and they say, what's that? So I think we need to educate people. So that too will be moved to next week.
Are these tabled? Is that-
They're tabled, yes.
Okay, so table
Table B and C.
and C. Okay.
Boy, gosh, we could get out of here. Okay, so D, discussion and possible action regarding King Way new service line connection to the district systems, responsibilities of property owners and District Bob. What's the outcome of that? What happened there?
Yeah, I think we pushed it all back to the owner. I haven't heard anything contrary to that. That we told the owner that he's responsible for excavating, repairing any asphalt. We will come in, Joe will come in and do the plumbing work. But he had to get all of the parts and everything from the cork stop from the main all the way over to the meter box, and then we were going to take over again. We would get an isolation valve and the meter set in there.
Now-
And he was responsible for everything else.
Did the district pay for the valve and the pipe to get to the meter box, or is that part of the 3,500?
That again gets gray, you know.
Is
So
it-
where do you draw the line of we're just responsible for the meter and those parts in the meter, and so typically you would have, if you had a development or you were an existing city that had some development in it, the developer would have brought the water service all the way into the property. We would drop in a meter and we're done. And you still charge the $3,500. $3,500 is the capacity fee for the infrastructure that we already provide to them. They're supposed to pay for everything else.
So, in your opinion, do you think it would be wise to develop an ordinance to be more specific about this?
Or get our policy or something. Yeah.
Somewhat what we have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so outdated
Service,
that
service connection. Provided water main is to the lot line. If not, additional required county costs may apply, such as, but not limited to, boring under a roadway. And I think there's a little bit in, I guess it would be in the policy and procedures. This is at the end of the ordinance, which we have a lot of pages of really, gets into detail about, people that are wanting new service. And it covers a little bit, but we do need to definitely, I think we
Elaborate
have
it.
something about $350 for a meter, and that's back then.
Right.
That goes a ways back, but I think we're looking at for new meter now is $500 just to get it in there and installed, and
Yep.
so yeah,
And-
we're.
And one thing that what would be willing to do, and really Joe doesn't want a plumber coming in and touching those service lines. So he wants them to excavate, and then he will jump in the trench and run that line. Because that becomes the district's. And we don't, even though we get to inspect it, we don't know what kind of quality work the plumber did. And so Joe would just rather get in there and
Right.
do it himself.
And that would be between basically coming off the main and going to the property line where the service connection is going to be.
Right.
And we're trying to have the meters now on our side of the property.
Yeah, in the easement area. I
Right.
mean, there's not easements on every road, but where the typical easement would be.
Right.
Edge of pavement.
So we're not trying to
5
go in
feet.
somebody's yard,
Yeah.
right, to check meter or
Right.
something like that.
Yeah.
And
They don't go into yours.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need to update this,
Okay.
and we need to make it clear. And in order to make it clear,
right. And there's
if you and Joe and could look at the current ordinance and make notes on what isn't there that needs to be there, or what needs to be explained better, then we can give it to the attorney and let him add the legalese to it. So you don't have to rewrite the whole ordinance, but put points in there. This could stay, this needs to go, this needs to be improved. So we give it to him, he knows what we're looking for. And then,
because it is pretty old.
Yeah.
It
and
is.
then when a potential new customer comes in, this is something that we could hand them.
Service
These-
application.
Correct.
Has
This
to
could be
be.
and
part
it
of
will be
the packet or whatever.
specific. And there won't be any surprises, like you calling me and saying, hey, we can't find the line. And I'm choking, saying, well, whose responsibility is it to pay for that?
Right, and there maybe would be more, things added here about charges
Yeah.
and updated, the costs
How much
are
did that, do you know
higher
how much
now.
that cost the customer?
10,000. The last one that was done on Indian Hills, Dukes did it for 13.5.
Yeah, so
Right, to
those
bore
are
under
not
the- to bore
costs
under
we
the
can
road.
take on.
To
We
do
cannot.
right of way, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the contractors bring it right to the line, and then Joe jumps in the hole and puts in the meter and finishes it to the district.
So we need to be very specific about,
Mm-hmm.
and clear on our policy. And between your feedback and the attorney's, so if you give him 2 pages, it will come back 20.
But that service
I'll give it to a
application,
paragraph.
the service application would have to be included with your paperwork so that it can be consistent with what we when they pay the $35.50, then they know what they're
Well,
getting.
we need to change that, but that's
Right.
not on the
Right.
agenda, so we cannot talk about it.
Yeah.
Bill, I know he's in here somewhere listening. He has a microphone.
And for now, we have to just work with what we have existing
Yeah.
as far as ordinance and policy and procedures and
But if we get on this, let's set a time
rates
frame.
and
2 weeks, 3 weeks?
rate schedule.
Yes, 3 weeks. I will have something
So
for the
what was
next.
the date
Next
in
week.
3
I will
weeks?
have something for the next meeting for the board to review.
By the next meeting?
Yep.
Okay. Well, actually, I need you to get it to me so I can get it to the attorney and then the board can review it. Because until he puts his stuff in there.
Give me 3 weeks.
Okay.
I'll give it.
So 3 weeks, you'll get it to me.
Yep.
What is the date in 3 weeks?
Just give me a minute.
Do I sound like one of my professors at school now? They have
Tuesday.
taught me well.
Wow. What day is
About
it
the
today?
18th. So today's the 22nd. It'd be about the 15th.
So, like the 13th.
Okay. May 13th?
Yep, May 13th. I'll have it to you.
Okay, perfect. So, right now, we don't need to take any action on this. What we will do is prepare to take action at a later date when we get the feedback from Joe and Bob, and maybe look around at some other districts. I can do that, and then we'll give it to the attorney, and he can present us with the final product. Okay? Sound like a plan?
Yep.
Discussion and possible action regarding ratification of the $495 expenditure for removal of fees on the Bertha project. So, I tried to get a copy of the invoice, but it was on this light yellow paper, and by the time it sat on my car dash for a couple of days, it was really, Lisa could read it, but the copies just weren't great. So Lisa can confirm that she did receive an invoice for $495 that I paid on the debit card with BMO Bank. So I would like to make a motion to approve the $495 expenditure to remove bees at the Bertha Street project. Can I get a second?
I will second the motion for the $495 for the removal of bees on Bertha Street.
Bill would be so proud of us tonight.
You would.
Any discussion? I haven't missed one
I
yet.
will second the motion.
She seconded it.
Oh,
She did.
okay. We vote. We vote. Yeah.
So is there any discussion?
Oh, yeah. Right.
No discussion?
I'm
It
just glad I got
needed
taken
to be
care of.
done.
Okay, everyone in favor?
It was an
Aye.
emergency.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? It passes unanimously.
Motion ran.
Blaine, I do have a question. So, going forward, so Joe and I discussed this quite a bit on how we handle.
Let's go to F, okay? Look at the agenda and see if F covers what you're talking about.
Okay, I'll take a
Does that cover? You know, as I'm reminded frequently, you're getting ahead of yourself.
I'll
Have
take
you
a
heard
timeout.
I've been told that a couple of times. So, discussion and possible action regarding establishing an ordinance regarding the owner-user's responsibility to remove overgrowth and other potential hazards around the meter boxes. Yes, Bob?
Yes. So what my understanding of bee removal, as Joe went through this with Tony and the crew that was out there, the fire department frowns upon us trying to do anything with the bees, the wasps, what have you. If they find out that we're trying to.
Oh no, I hired someone.
Oh no! I'm not. So one of the questions is, if we see bees, do we go get some spray? How does the district remove, or do we always go and hire somebody to remove them? So that's just, I don't know. That's the question.
Well, doesn't the fire department used to come and take the bees out?
Yeah.
Because they've
And so
come
do we
and
call
got
the
them
fire
from my house
department?
before.
No, they didn't. They said we needed to call someone.
Right, when it happened, because it was an imminent danger to the surrounding community, I called Elaine and she made the decision to remove them.
Well, I checked with Yavapai County,
Right,
and they want to assume no responsibility.
Right.
They
Right.
say it's on your easement. Is it on our easement?
And it was in the meter box, so
Well,
it was our,
it's kind
And
of.
it was our meter box, therefore it was our problem.
they were in the meter box.
I am not going to tell anyone
Right.
to remove bees.
Mm-hmm.
No one.
Okay.
The best thing to do is to call bee removal,
Mm-hmm.
and they can typically be here relatively soon, except on weekends.
Okay.
So I can give you a list of bee vendors. There's Mark Coleman in Anthem, and people use him a lot.
Okay.
And he has a really great reputation, but he doesn't work on weekends. And so, because they did leave a hive that wasn't recognized until Friday, I did go out and a long stream spray can of bee, and the homeowner came out and was very aggressive, telling me that I was harassing them and that they were going to call the sheriff, and I encouraged them to do so. The sheriff ended up coming to my house, but we have a responsibility, as I told them, to make sure if anybody from the water district or any of our contractors or any other contractors are out there working on our stuff, that they have a safe environment.
Right.
And nobody should have to. I asked the homeowner to remove the excess foliage and overgrowth to behind his fence, because that's where they were, and it was the overgrowth on our easement side of the fence. And I doubt that will be done. But according to the attorney, we can create a ordinance, and we can even impose fines. This will
Okay.
not happen
Perfect.
This needs to happen.
Yeah.
That was just an unnecessary experience, and property owners need to know that there are going to be consequences. And you can go ahead and call the sheriff, and I'm going to tell the sheriff I have an attorney who will come bail me out. So,
Yeah.
whatever. But somebody almost died, and nobody seemed to really to get that. The people on the street. It was, well, there are bees in the desert, but this is a residential area. This isn't, and we need to keep it safe.
Right.
So,
Okay, and that's what I was getting at. Just how do we handle it?
see, there you go.
Thank you.
We're on it. So, anyone like to make, I would like to entertain a motion to have the attorney move forward in establishing an ordinance regarding the owner-user's responsibility to remove overgrowth and other potential hazards around meter boxes, and this would include penalties or consequences for failing to do so that we could impose on that owner. I would anyone like to second that?
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. No one opposed, so the motion passes unanimously for that ordinance. And I need to take a 5-minute recess.
Okay.
I'm gonna shake hands with all of our owner users. So glad you came,
I
Mr.
downloaded
Craig.
it into the Dropbox.
So Bill will write policy. We're gonna-
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
we just,
that's what I,
Bill to write
what I thought I
policy.
heard.
But I will confirm it tomorrow.
So this was back end of March.
Oh, yeah, so it probably has, because I do remember one from Medtronic.
Let's see, and I took a picture of it when it was delivered. Yeah, because
Yeah, we got it.
I get stuff delivered to your house.
And then you could, usually they'll deliver to the office.
Still rolling over there?
And then I just call Bob, Joe and picks it up.
Right,
Or
or
is
you're
it-
only there
oh,
for
right.
certain hours. And these guys wanted to
Yeah.
leave from 8 to 5.
Right on.
The pickup station. It got dropped off on April 11th. Well, no, this is when I delivered.
And then he gave me the, what's it called, bill of lading. And then I got the bill of lading when the package was delivered, and then I got the invoice from the vendor.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I took a picture and I sent it to Lee. It's in the garage. That's the garage at Oasis.
Good, good. See why?
Okay. Yeah. Get myself in trouble without even trying. Yeah, I can't find it. Oh my God, it's not a good idea.
So if I get Medtronic, send it to you.
Or
Just to confirm things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our ordinance is
Oh,
really,
there it is.
there's a
But I
lot
can't
of,
find the Fosters.
Lily,
Water.
oh, plaster. I did think we did take
but
it.
it's
Oh, we are.
way outdated as well.
I've never seen that.
Foster, we paid last time, 12,000.
Yeah.
Trying to find it.
You're right.
Is this what was carried over from the old days?
Yeah.
Yeah, this-
Or is this
Yeah.
new stuff?
This is the new website, but it's, yeah, this is basically been transferred from the old site.
Oh,
I
okay.
had to enter some things manually, some things could be copied and pasted.
Okay, we are going to resume. It is 17:47, and we have, agenda item G, discussion and possible action regarding identifying new meter replacement following procurement guidelines. So, this has been a really tricky situation. We were not awarded the WIFA loan this round, but if we follow the procurement guidelines and we replace meters, we can submit what we've done for the next round next year, and because they also award for that. The other thing that might have thrown a little bit of a glitch in there was having applied for a $500,000 meter replacement loan. And I need to make sure that that goes away, so that it will increase the potential of us being considered. And then we need to leave it at water conservation and not what they consider maintenance. Water conservation is replacing pumps and things that conserve water that aren't maintenance. Water lines are maintenance, and no one who put in a request for meters that included water lines, none of them were awarded. So, lesson learned. I gave everybody a copy of the procurement guidelines. And then I shared with Melina and Tom that these meters come with a cost. Some it's $1 a month starting at the beginning, others are $8 per month per meter 10 years later. What is that paying for?
That is paying for the web interface and the auto reads coming into either a computer or a phone. That pays for that service, the internet service.
So, one of the things that gave me a bit of heartburn was the owner users are paying for these meters. Therefore, the owner users, we should have the opportunity to offer input. It should be discussed as any other topic would be discussed when the district is going to spend a large sum of money that we are going to have to pay back on long-term equipment that should last for 20 years.
Every 10 years, they recommend replacing water meters.
Every 10 years. So we have to look at this with the Metron meter, and there are other manufacturers. The what is it?
Celsius?
Census,
Census, yeah.
Census, yeah.
Census, Badger, Neptune.
I've not heard a lot of good things on Badger.
Okay. Stay away from Census.
Really? And Dave, the National Water Resource guy, said Congress replaced all of theirs with Census, and he really liked them. They really liked them. I don't know.
Okay.
This has to be a conversation among the owner users. I don't appreciate the fact that the board, the last former board, there was no discussion on this. I had no idea that there were these monthly charges on meters until I met with the vendor of Metron, and then I was just gobsmacked.
Well, so Metron does not charge for the first 10 years.
What I'm saying is none of that information was conveyed that there was going to be a charge at all. I had no idea that 10 years from now, the district would have to pay $8 per month per meter for the duration of the meter's life. I didn't know that some meters, it was $1 per month per meter beginning right away. This is a debt that the owner users have to take on. And the question comes to mind, would it be easier to increase the price of water by $1 per month? And if we started saving now at 80 cents a month until the 10 years came, which my experience in watching this district is every time they put money in one account, even for arsenic filters, it goes to something else. So that's not, don't spend it if my concern is that we would not have that much money saved. And this is a huge expense that deserves consideration and not just well, let's buy this one. And maybe that one's going to be a great one, but there's never been a dialogue.
But we do have to look at all the different angles they got to their product. So if the one will start charging you $8 after 10 years, but didn't it just reach the end of its life? So, but you know, there's just so many different things to weigh out. Wire meters really can only be 10 years, or is that just an average?
That's the standard, the industry standard is every 10 years.
In this day and age and amazing technology, this is what they come up with for meters. You know? It's just, and then we're stuck on a certain end of things, is that if we're trying to get a grant for meters, it needs to be their kind of meters that they'll approve.
No,
The smart
no.
meters.
Well, yes, they do need to be
Because
smart
they're
meters.
considered meters that will conserve
Correct.
water, they'll save you because they'll identify problems.
Exactly.
So
yes.
you're kind of where you have to go with the smart meters and the technology, and so we just really need to look into the real details of how these different things work.
Yeah.
It's
And
a
the
real
customer being able to track their water usage. And, you know, we have
pros and
the
cons.
circuit rider with National Rural Water who says census are great meters and you're saying stay away from them. How do we...
Right, well, and so the reason I say stay away from census, so right now, and you know, you spent time with Alex, you saw water scope and how that can be delivered right to your phone. To get that from census, that is going to cost you an additional $25,000 a year
Why?
just to use their network. That's what they charge.
And whose network does Metron use?
They use Verizon, so there's no additional fee because they, you know, it's pennies for them to tie into Verizon. With Census, you get your own web ID. So security-wise, it's the safest one to go with because you're not up on the internet with everybody else. But it's to get it downloaded to somebody's phone or to their computer. It's going to be a minimum of 25. I had a district that had 130 meters, and they were charged $18,000 a year.
So it's
For that
pricey.
service.
It's pricey on it.
And the other is there are the dial-up. There are the ones connected to like the Verizon. There's like three different types. And Mike was telling me that one district had the Badgers and it was the dial-up and they got a cell phone bill for over $800 because I guess if it doesn't connect on the first time for the read and it has to keep calling back, then there are charges. So we need to look more carefully and perhaps we need to consider how we're going to do this search for data.
So which ones you're aware of, Bob, right now that we could look at? We can go online, right?
So
and look
Census
at-
is one.
How do you spell it?
SENSUS.
Census. SENSUS. Census. Okay.
There's Badger.
Badger. Okay.
Neptune. Neptune makes one.
Okay. And what do we have now?
We have
These are
Metron.
Metron. Okay. And there must be some.
There's
few
some more,
others
but
in
I
the market.
Yeah.
But these are some.
So
basics.
Badger, Census, and Neptune would be the big three.
I see. Badger.
What is the one, is there one that is comparable to Metron that maybe the cost is broken down a bit differently?
Not that I'm aware of, but I'd have to go do some more research. Because they're all just, like, as you mentioned, they're all just a little different.
Yeah. They're all
You know.
gonna have pros and cons.
Yeah.
And you kind of got to weigh it.
Yeah, right.
If they really only have about a 10-year life expectancy, then Metron's not looking so bad. Because if you're gonna have to replace them anyhow, you're just
Yeah,
gonna look
and
at what's, you know.
I recall it being like $1 a month. It was less than $1 a month for Metron
After what?
After
10
the
years,
10
After
years.
the 10 years.
And they won't-
$1 a month?
Yeah, I thought that's what.
$8 per month
That's
per
what she
meter.
found,
I wrote
somehow.
it down and it has my tiers on the book.
Okay.
That's a lot of money.
But if the meters are, if we're
Yeah,
gonna end up
yeah.
replacing the meters before that.
And what I have found is that is as far as getting data downloaded to a phone so that people can track, that's the cheapest you're going to find.
Well,
And-
if
and
you
that
look
might
at
not be
replacing a
acceptable.
meter in 10 years, well, by then there'll be more than $385 because the meter is $385 and the other part that has to go with it is how much?
Like $150.
So the meters are about $500.
Yeah, I think that's
Each.
yeah.
About 50.
Yeah,
Before
And
the
then
install.
that's not with the out installations.
Are the other meters about the same price?
about the same or more. Yeah, I'd say
More than
this-
550
Yeah.
per?
Mhm.
So the information that I just gave you, there are a lot of vendors coming into the office for the meters right now. I sent the information to Joe and I sent it to you because I know you are vetting different, and the guy today that I just gave you, they are all have the understanding with WIFA as well and what the requirements, the procurement requirements are that you'll have to meet to get those in. So that might be.
And that's, we have to make sure that we have done what needs to be done per the procurement checklist. Or if we go to apply for a WIFA loan to get reimbursed for any new meters between now and next year, they will deny it. And I heard too many denials. I don't want to hear any more denials. Wow. The other thing, it would be great so we have 54 meters currently planted.
Mhm.
Do any of those people know how to use the app?
Do not.
Why?
Because we need to set up Alex coming in and just having a meeting. So we just haven't gotten.
And that needs to happen. It is so important to be able to get feedback from people who have these meters and are using one of the features that is key to any WIFA loan. They want the owner users, to be able to have the app, to know how to use it, and to understand it. And if we don't have verification of that, again, we're going to sink. We have got to get our ducks in a row with these meters, including making sure that people that have them know how to take advantage of the app. Or we're going to apply for another WIFA loan, and I'm going to have to, we can't do that. We have to make sure that we are in alignment with what is required with the meters.
Yeah, and when I went to Morgan with the census and the Metron information, she went, okay, pick whoever you want. She was fine with the procedure that I used to select who I did.
And Morgan also said, apply for the loan. I'm confident you will get some of the funds because this is a great project. And that didn't happen because we didn't follow the requirements that were set out in
The grant,
in the application.
Right.
So,
the recent.
I appreciate Morgan's support, but some key details were left out of that really ended up having consequences that I
Right.
wasn't crazy about.
Right.
So we need to get these 54 people, we need to make sure that they get the education and that they know how to use the app so that we can start getting feedback to see what they say. They've had them for a period of time, and we have no idea how they're working or if the customer likes or doesn't like them, if it's easy to use, and that's important information because they're paying for it.
Can I
So
ask how they're being read now?
Yeah, I go in once a month and I download the data.
So you're able to get the readings online. for those 54.
Yep.
And then he just sends them in, they automatically go into the,
Oh, we haven't got that far yet.
No, we're not. They don't go into my. I still have to download them, but they go to the guys, and the guys put them on the list, and I put them in the. I put
Oh,
it in,
I see.
I do the data. work.
Right. So they're not going directly to the
To enhance.
enhance.
Yeah.
That's something that can be done.
We're looking at that. Yeah, he is.
so I don't know that we need to make a motion or, at this point, this could be something that's tabled because, we're not gonna really take any action other than doing some more homework, getting the people trained. I will read through the procurement, requirements, and we need to get everyone lined up and on the same page with what's required so that we can move forward and do this correctly. I know that some people, and the thing with the zero reads, etc. I'm going to learn how to generate a zero usage report, sorted alphabetically, so I can look at the names and see how many people are on this report consistently for January on. I think the thing that kind of caught my breath was I called a number of people on the zero usage list. I think there were 176, and so many of them were, I'm asking, how's your hygiene lately? Are you sure? I did not ask them that. I asked if they were getting water and still and using water, and they said yes. And then there was one, they've had a zero usage since 2023. And another, some were just months and months. That's not okay. That's water loss that we have to get in hand. So if we need meters now, where do we stand for replacement?
We have 3 meters.
Wow.
So
go ahead.
that means we're going to have to consider, do we want to order more? You have how many that need to be?
Daniel was working on the list today, and he's thinking there's probably 30 of them.
See, I don't like the term thinking.
Well, and so it's moving. It's constantly moving because we cannot. If they get a zero usage, we can't necessarily just go walk on the property and find out what's going on. They could have a well, but it takes us a while to find out whether they have a well or not, or are they just, are they winter visitors, or what's going on? It takes us a while to assess that. It's not an instantaneous.
No, I think though, if we were to look at zero usage, sorted alphabetically, we can look at the names that keep popping up, and hopefully that's not going to be many. And I don't mind calling some of the customers to see if they're a snowbird, and most of them were quite happy to respond, and I left a message and they called back, and I just explained we don't know if you're having an issue getting water or if we're having a problem with the meter. So they were very cooperative, but we need to approach this strategically. How many names keep coming up on the zero usage 90 days in a row, or is it? And so until we get it sorted alphabetically and we can look at these reports, we're just kind of guessing. And we need to have a little more confidence in the meters that are being replaced.
That we're targeting the proper ones. If we're
Right.
dropping $500 back in the hole again, we want to make sure that it is
Right.
getting its value.
So I want to look at the zero usage reports sorted alphabetically. I'm going to work on learning how to do that Thursday or Friday, and then I can sit down and look at it and share my thoughts, and then I can get copies to you and Joe, so we can be looking at the same thing and kind of see if there's a pattern, and see what's consistent and what's not, and try to narrow things down so we're not guessing so much.
Right.
Okay? Okay.
And can we look at like a history or how far
Yeah.
back? Because it seems like the further they go back, the more money we lost.
Well, we can't recoup the lost money.
No, we can't.
So
But-
that's pointless. We need to look at, the most recent months and like January, February, March, April for the last 4 months, and then see what we find. And some of the names may go away, or some of the names may go away when the snowbirds leave, but for right now, the snowbirds should be here, and we would be able to see that trend also
And
later.
so as I recall, I got a 90-day zero usage report from Lisa, and it drops down to about 15 people.
I don't have a lot of confidence in the average. There's something about that just doesn't quite click, make sense. But I want to see it alphabetically, month by month, and then we'll compare that to the average and see what the difference is. But I don't have a lot of faith in the average.
So Enhance did create that report help me create that report. There is an average, there is also a monthly, because you had requested the monthly, he had requested the average. So between the two, but you can access those at any time.
I know.
Okay.
I just don't know. When I had to download all of the customer names and addresses
Right.
onto Excel so we could do the mailer. And when Jimmy was helping me through that, I saw all of the report options for usage. And so that's why I want that ticket with
Okay.
Jimmy so that we can go through that, and then I'll know how to do
Then we'll
that.
save
I
it.
won't, right, because these are things that we need every month consistently, so we can see what's fluctuating and maybe
Yeah,
figure
so we
it
can
out.
work through all this stuff. Yeah, there's 21 of them that had no usage over 90 days.
Yeah.
So
So,
that, yeah.
but I don't want to just go sticking meters somewhere
Right.
without being. And then the other thing, please do what you need to do to get these people trained on how to download the app and get people using it, so we can get some feedback on the meters that are there.
Okay, yeah, I'll set up a meeting with Alex and I don't know, bring them. I guess bring people.
Guess
in
what?
here.
High Desert Helpers was so kind to let us use their facility, and it was great.
Okay.
So we don't have to come in here; we can do it there.
Okay. Yeah, I can set up a meeting.
And if worse comes to worse, Alex, we can do it with Alex, and then we could also create a mailer to go out to those people. There's only 54 addresses. That should be easy to get labels and send something out for instructions they can follow at home. But we have to have this data, especially when we go back to submit for another one. WIFA asked. I don't know how many hours I sat through all of the WIFA conversations, but I certainly have a much better idea what they're looking for. So we're going to put that, we're going to table that. So on H, discussion and possible action regarding adopting a tree at High Desert Helpers Park. I think this would be such a great gesture. They were so kind to let us use their facility for a meeting, and they have no problem in allowing us to continue. They just need enough notice. And we want to, demonstrate our relation. We want to demonstrate that this is
Goodwill.
a community. Goodwill, thank you, Tom. And so I think adopting a tree for $50 a year, and they do all of the work on it, would be a great thing. And then they put a plaque up, BCCWID. I'm going to adopt one on my own. The county planted a lot of new trees, and they need to be sponsored. So I will entertain a motion to adopt a tree for $50 at High Desert Helpers Park. Anyone like to make that?
I will second that motion to adopt the tree for $50 in High Desert Park.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
None opposed, passes unanimously. We are now step parents, or foster parents of a tree.
Hopefully don't eat too much, suck down too much water, right? The county planted them, right?
The county
Yeah, but who's
planted
gonna
some-
water 'em?
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, hopefully ideally they wouldn't put trees in or they're gonna be really.
Does the county pay the water bill with that part?
Yeah, no.
The high desert helpers pay it.
I think High Desert Helpers has to pay. They're gonna renovate. Anyhow, that's off topic.
Yeah, okay.
Discussion I, agenda item I, discussion and possible action regarding developing an ordinance with strategies to conserve water and limit new meter installations. And Greg has a long list, so we need to get through this. So, Bob, I'm thinking, and Melina, Tom,
Yep.
some districts, I don't know about all districts, but if the water levels reach a certain point, a low point, they can restrict allowing new meters to go out. Any thoughts on that?
Wow.
Like a moratorium?
Yeah, put in a moratorium on.
What's the minimum?
I don't know, I guess I would need to think about that before. I guess I would have an issue because if I was a property owner that had purchased property 20 years ago under the idea that I could just connect to the district at some point, I'd be pretty upset if I then got hit with a moratorium and I couldn't put a water meter at my house.
Well, then at the same time, people who are living here, who already have homes here, I think they would be pretty resentful if we allowed 10, 15, 20, or 50 new homes to be built, to put in a meter, and then that would leave them, with a greatly reduced level of water. I think it's important to take care of the people that are here, and at the same time, you're taking care of those people who want to build, because you're saying, hey, wait, we can't guarantee that there's enough water to accommodate this.
Yeah, and then,
You don't have to agree.
I'm like, yeah, I mean that's but there is water here. It just costs money to get it out of the ground.
Well, Lisa.
I do have a lot of calls coming in. I did have a contractor call today from Idaho. He's coming tomorrow to look at land in Black Canyon City to build a community like a King's Ranch. He wants to build custom homes in an area where, and he says, so what can you water? What area? He wants to come into the office to look at the map to see if his realtor shows him properties in our district. So and that ordinance is important, and your information is important because it's going to happen. He said, yeah, I'm coming because you guys are 12 minutes away from one of the biggest
Cities in the country, yeah.
well, the chipland.
Yeah.
I think
TSMC.
we have to do something. And Greg, since you're the only person here, I'll let you engage in this conversation if you like about this topic only.
The city of, or the town of Mayor, they have a new water meter moratorium because they don't have enough water in their aquifer to supply like 200 people that are on a waiting list. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's a way we could inventory our aquifer system to say this is how much we can do in putting our years of drought, which we've been in a drought since 1999.
Right.
And I would rather go on precaution and safety by going on a moratorium, and instead of just having all these great places come in here using more water, that it's going to deplete the water for the people that are already here if that happens, and then we're all going to be screwed. It's just like Phoenix was inhabited by the Holocoms, and then they ended up running out of water and they all moved. And back when Phoenix got renamed by Jack Swilling, whose house is here, they dug out the old Arizona Canal, which was the Holocom Canal, to bring water to the valley so they could irrigate to provide produce for Wickenburg for the Vulture Mine, because that was like the capital of Arizona at the time. But the fact is that society vanished. And
You've
I don't.
got 3 minutes,
Oh,
Greg.
I'm for a moratorium. It would be neat to have a lot of expensive places. It's going to happen no matter what. We have no choice. But I say we have a moratorium because I don't think we can afford to outgrow our water supply.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
The phrase outgrow our water supply is a very good point.
And unfortunately, we don't know what the water supply is.
Right.
ADWR has not been able to come up here and give us a good number on, what it can support. What can this aquifer truly support?
I would rather go on precaution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
And find out what Mayor is doing and how they came to those,
Well, that's because Mirror was drained. They were having to haul water in.
Yeah.
I don't know the entire story, but it was pretty, it was,
the other contractor that came in with the new RV park, he came into the office as well. He's outside of Black Canyon City Water District. I checked with Joe. Joe came in and looked at the map, and they're just outside of what the water district can do. So I don't know where he's going to get his water from, but he is in Maricopa County. So they do come and they do look to see where the water is. Upon getting a Yavapai County permit to build, you have to prove a 100-year water supply.
If you're in an active management area that's regulated by the Arizona Department of Water Resources, we're not in that area, so we're not regulated.
So how does the county give out permits?
They'll just give them one.
Without giving, we do need to check that. I mean, it is something that you would have to, it would be advantageous to find out, will you give permits to
Yeah, and so that becomes another issue. And this is what some of the things that people battle is, okay, you say you can't have water, but can you restrict somebody from drilling a well? So now they just tap the same aquifer that you're in.
Right.
They drill a well.
and
It's unregulated.
I don't know if you know this or not, but Arizona Metals Corporation, the mining behind us, they're paying to have a well put in just north of Rock Springs, where that little horse arena is. They're going to put a well in there for
it's
them.
already got two.
Already.
They're just going to retap them.
So if they have those wells, is the RV resort going to try to tie into that? I don't know.
They have two on the RV.
Yeah,
resort.
I don't know.
Already.
So how do you,
okay.
what can be done about not allowing wells to be, it's unregulated?
Yes.
Or is there a way to regulate it to?
In the district.
Only if you're in an active management area.
Well, or you become a town.
Do what?
Become a town. Incorporate.
There's
Wow.
no other way.
Not that I know of.
That would be a good question for Bill.
Selena Bliss, I'm thinking of.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
what do you think, Melina?
I think I don't want anybody else to build anything here anymore.
Click your heels. Click your ruby red ciphers.
Fence it off.
Plus, when that new gas station gets built, how much water are they going to use?
Yeah.
You know, we talked about this before we were even on the board. We expressed our concerns about unlimited growth and no way of protecting our water supply. So this isn't.
Right now, active management area is kind of a two-edged sword. There's pros and cons to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for instance, somebody having to prove that they're going to be able to provide water for 100 years, like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's, and like Bob said, incorporation, then you have basically your town ordinance.
Yes,
You
I got those pitfalls.
But yeah, and this town is not big on incorporation.
Right.
We voted 70+% against it, not so many years ago, maybe 10 years back.
I heard there were two brothers involved in that. One almost slayed the one who didn't agree. One wanted to,
Oh, man,
and
I can
one
only
didn't,
imagine.
and it was just a battle.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard. So the reason I would say one of the reasons people are here because they don't want the regulations. But now we're going, we're going to regulate you so that we can preserve the water. We need regulations to. So
Well,
that we
if
can
they
protect-
hadn't decided to move here, we wouldn't have to regulate. So, they're bad.
Yeah, and
We have to protect the people that are here, and we have to make sure that we don't outgrow our water supply. And if somebody hasn't built, well, we can't do we have to do,
From last month, the billing increased by 30. 30 more people from last month.
Well, we added 30 people last month.
Yeah, there's,
Yeah, and so one way to control it is the capacity fee. You know, you throw.
Oh, like a rate tier.
Don't let me shoot me. It's $15,000 to connect, and now we have resources to drill another well.
Yeah, because we have to put that in the equation for the growth, for the
Exactly.
expansion.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that's another way to try to control. And
And to me, if they're going to do high dollar homes, this new community, that's to me.
He said custom.
Yeah, that to me, they would be able to afford $15,000 if they're going to be a custom home. But yet again, it's more of a demand, and I'm not for that. But
one of the things I remember is when I used to go to Rock Springs a lot, and when Richard Spain was managing it, and I ran into Penny's Pies, and we both remember them being closed down for a couple of days because they ran out of water. And the conversations about they didn't know what they were going to do because their water supply was just not adequate. And I don't know if they hit, an aquifer that's just plentiful or not. But it was, I remember those days where they closed.
Can you expand the district?
boundaries?
Right. Can you? And if you do,
Yeah,
could you
you
ask
can.
for more, when you go to WIFA or you go to the grants, because it is expanding, then look for more money for wells.
So, can we expand?
Yeah, you can expand your district.
Where is it that people are building where they're outside of the district? They have to get water.
Right, I would have to look. I don't know.
You have
You
to
know,
get a map and
right.
see what's in use by the other water company and what's available to expand into.
So the new developer would have to pay for the infrastructure if we expanded.
Right.
Right.
So you
The
might have
impact,
been
the
able
impact
to.
fees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might have been able to capture Rock Springs.
You can, because it's right outside where
Yeah,
you are.
I mean, you
And
might
he
have been
would be-
able to do that.
He would be willing to do that. That man came in the office.
But that's different thinking than
Yeah,
districts ever had before.
But
Well-
you're going to have to introduce it.
we have to have different thinking.
I'm just stating, because when we talked about the dog track and them expanding, people got a little irate about that.
Well, things are going to happen and people are going to get irate, but it's
Right.
not going to stop things from happening.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
development and growth is inevitable.
Because
Right.
Black Canyon is so, the difference in the price of homes from here to Anthem is wild. And the meter guy that came in today, he lived in Desert Hills for a long time, and now that the prices went up, he moved to Cave Creek. That's how much he was able to sell his property for and move into a better.
Well, that's EPCOR that runs that,
Okay,
right?
so
Yeah.
we're going to table this for tonight, but absolutely, we are going to look into having an ordinance. Well, you know what? I think we should probably vote on this so that if anything ever comes up and it's questioned that we didn't begin an ordinance until September, October of the year, we can always come back to the vote for today.
Yep. So can I add one thing? So
Sure.
one of the things I had in my report was potentially raising our conservation level to a level 2, going from 1 to a 2, to try to get people to conserve and let them know, the status of the aquifer, that we've dropped by 5 feet and we need to try to conserve water as much as we can.
So I'm going to put a mailer, I'll include another piece of information on the mailer going out.
And
Yeah,
would
can
that
we
be
get that on
something
the
that you would put
website?
on the website?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
And it would be a level what?
a level 2.
No,
From
and-
level 1 to level 2.
Yep. And I will start putting that in my report on a monthly basis.
Okay.
So that, because I had lost track of where we were at. I had to go look on the website to figure out where we were at between a level 1, So I will start putting, a conservation level 2 in my report, or we bumped it to 3, we bumped it to 3.
Okay, so I'm
thank
going
you.
to make a motion that we pursue developing an ordinance with strategies to conserve water and limit new meter installations and any action as necessary to ensure we do not deplete our water supply. Can we get a second?
I second the motion.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Passes unanimously, so we will begin pursuing a water conservation ordinance and the ability to limit new meter installations. And so if there's any question that comes up and the guy comes in tomorrow, purchases the property for cash and wants water, you can tell him, well, hey, the board just voted.
This one might still be available if it is something you want to look at. He's willing to purchase to put in a line through that whole park. They have not done the water sewer infrastructure yet. It's just ready to start. But if you put water into it and give them the option of going to Black Canyon City Water or using a well. The wells are existing and I don't know if they are using them.
Yeah, you don't know what the water quality is.
Correct.
Right.
I don't, but they would have to.
Yeah, you would have to, that would have to be
We'd have to
checked,
sample
wouldn't
them
it?
and, yeah.
Okay,
You know, but what I've seen happen in the past is the district would ask the developer to put an engineering study together, what their demand's gonna be, you know, and how you're gonna meet that, and what that cost is gonna be.
They already have it.
Right. And so then they would present that to the board and
that's
go,
on what property?
On the RV park at the end of town, right next to Rock Springs.
Okay,
So it
got
would
it.
be Black Canyon City Water District stops right there, and then it's probably from maybe less than a mile from what Joe and I had discussed, less than a mile into that to give them water.
right, and so you can only add property that's adjacent to the boundary, the current boundary.
Yeah, I don't know if it
And
is.
so you would have to add everybody down the line to get them in.
Yeah, it
so
would be
it-
worth looking at.
Yeah.
So now they're coming to us after they got everything they wanted, and they're probably saying, how are we gonna provide everybody with water?
I was surprised that he was acting.
And we were asking that from the very first meeting they had like 10 years ago. Greg, you have some more
Yeah.
questions? We'll stay.
If we did do that at the new RV park, like our Big John, we've got our water filtration system and all that. Would they have to put it in their own water filtration over there? Because we
Yes.
can't run the water from there over there if they got a well there. We can't run it back and then to them
No,
again.
all-
Right, and then all of our arsenic removal system, you know, the treatment
Yeah.
system, we're at capacity.
So they would have to put it there too.
Yeah, we
And
would,
they
we would
pay
have
for it.
another well site
Okay.
with arsenic treatment.
Okay. My
Like
questions I wrote down.
The RV park that
okay.
is existing now, this
Yeah.
one, and they have and Kings Ranch have their own wastewater
Right.
treatment
Yeah.
system. So those would be required from them, and you still supply them water.
Right, we
Okay.
supply the water.
Okay. You were talking in the meeting earlier that evidently the district does not have a maintenance yard, a supply yard to put gravel and backhoe, and we don't own a yard.
Well, no, so we have property at GOA.
Right.
There's probably, I don't know, an acre or two there. It's pretty big.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
then what Joe has done is we drop gravel. We have gravel around the district. So we have some over at Choya, we have some up over at April, so that if he has to work on a project, he doesn't have to go all the way down to GOA to bring gravel. So we stockpile some gravel here.
And what about a little building so you can put your meters in it? And
we have a
plumbing-
Conex box, and then we have a
Okay.
building over
But we
at...
need something additional because it's not enough.
And you need it fenced and with camera and maybe a street light, right? For security?
We've never had security issues, knock on wood.
Okay.
Yeah. But,
Okay.
you know, but it's chain linked and it's got razor wire, concertina wire.
Yeah,
around the
no,
top.
I was over there at GOA, and you can go in the back and walk through this one gate. Remember, I said,
Oh,
why
yeah.
is that gate open?
Okay. Secondly, when it comes to the wasting water ordinance you're thinking of, we know a few months back when the post office had a leak, but evidently they're leasing the building. They don't own the building. And so the water was running for what, 3 or 4 months?
Yeah, I was wondering. They usually use zero, but did their bill go up when they had that leak? It should have. When was it at 0? How could it have been at 0?
We'll look it up. I know.
I don't- yeah,
We'll
I
look
know.
it up on Friday and see if there was a flux in usage when they did have them.
It should have.
It should have.
And if they didn't, then we need to check their meter because that's just not right.
Yeah, and like since we're on a level 2, if that ever happened again, when you're talking about a wastewater ordinance, since that was for a long time, if we're going to have a little bit of discretion on the customer side, even if it's like we're leasing it, we can give all of the owner users here, if they got a water leak and it's pointed out that we know it and they know it, we give them a week to get it fixed. And if they don't, then this wastewater ordinance comes in, and then we do some other step to where we fix it and we back bill them or something. But we cannot.
I'll write that down.
Because we want to conserve water.
That was not on the topic though.
Well, maybe a future agenda
On the
item.
next agenda.
Thank you. I'll put it on the next agenda.
Okay, another thing with these new water meters you're talking about, and they're good for 10 years. The smart meters. What if somebody runs over a meter with their car or truck and they break it? Who pays for the new meter?
The guy that
A lot of times we do.
Because let's say the
we
garbage
can-
truck
we can-
runs over it.
We
Right,
can.
a lot of times we do, because we can't, when we go out there and we see a broken meter,
Okay.
we don't have the license plate.
Another thing with the electronics in a smart meter, if the electronics fails in the first 10 years and it's not transmitting, do we carry the extra electronics to fix it, or does the company fix it, or is the smart meter guaranteed for 10 years? If anything goes wrong, the company we bought it from fixes it.
I believe
Who pays for that?
I think it's guaranteed for 10 years.
So the
And,
company fixes it.
and
Okay.
Greg, then your time is up.
Okay.
And then we send the meter that is not working to the manufacturer. They give us a loaner, they test it, and if the meter is bad, they replace it at no cost.
Okay, last thing on the bees.
Hurry up.
When I worked for the county, we had a lot of meter boxes and we had the bees come in. We paid to train a couple employees. We bought them bee suits.
No,
Well, I'm
we're
just
not
telling you
taking
what.
on that liability.
Yeah.
Okay, because anyway, they just sprayed them with soapy
No.
water. And here's another thing with bees: if they land in a tree or if they go in a meter box, they put a chemical pheromone. And when you get rid of those bees, when you got another Africanized bees flying through, they're going to smell that and they're going to go in the same place they were before. So
Yeah,
now that
we know.
where Tony got hit,
Right.
their bees are going to go in there again.
The
We
guy
need
said
to
they've
check
been
the
in
meter
there for
box more
years.
frequently
Huh?
to make
The
sure
guy
it's
said
not
they were
being
in there
inhabited
for
by
years.
bees.
Oh, but the
When
thing
they
is
took
that
out
chemical.
35 pounds.
So you need to put a sign that says Africanized bees inhabit this area or something for whoever checks the meter.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ask Tony if he got any.
Yeah, no, he got, there was no love there.
See, all
point
bees in
is,
Arizona are considered
There's no way that meter
Africanized.
could have been
They're all
read
considered
because there was too much
Africanized.
honey
Yes.
taking
Did you know
over
that?
the whole
The
thing.
Oh,
meter
yeah.
gets read
And yet
All
I'm
bees.
seeing.
Unless they're
The meter got read
a domestic
every month.
hive in somebody's
People
yard,
have read even
but all
your report
bees you see
and
flying around, they're all Africanized.
something. Oh, I'm sorry. It is 1836, and the meeting is adjourned, but we don't have to do a vote. I think that they were just marking something because there's
Tom.
no way that meter could have read
Yeah, you
anything
could hit that.
with the amount of honey
Just end.
and honey
Finish? The finish?
There's no way.
Yeah.